Deep beneath the waves of the Caribbean Sea, a Soviet submarine was cornered. Explosions rocked its hull, and with all communication to the outside world cut off, the captain was convinced of one thing: World War III had begun. He gave the order to arm their most powerful weapon, a nuclear torpedo. Only one man stood between that command and a nuclear apocalypse that would have scorched the earth. This is the story of the day that man saved the world.
Hello and welcome. If you're new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
Our story takes place during the most dangerous 13 days in human history, the Cuban Missile Crisis. The year was 1962, and the world was a chessboard for two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Locked in a tense Cold War, both sides had thousands of nuclear weapons pointed at each other, ready to launch at a moment's notice. The tension reached a breaking point when the US discovered that the Soviets had secretly installed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just a few hundred kilometers from American shores. The world held its breath. One wrong move, and civilization could be wiped out. As this global drama unfolded on the world stage, another, even more critical crisis was playing out in secret, deep beneath the ocean's surface. A Soviet submarine, the B-59, was on a covert mission. It was one of 4 submarines sent to protect a shipment of Soviet supplies to Cuba. But this was no ordinary submarine. It carried a weapon of unimaginable power, a single nuclear-tipped torpedo with the same destructive force as the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The submarine's crew had been given a chilling authorization. If attacked, and if they couldn't contact Moscow, they had the authority to launch their nuclear weapon. The conditions inside the B-59 were a living hell. The air conditioning had failed, and temperatures in some compartments soared above 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew was exhausted, stressed, and completely cut off from the outside world. They had no idea if the tense diplomacy between Kennedy and Khrushchev was succeeding, or if their homeland was already a radioactive wasteland. Then, the unthinkable happened. The US Navy, desperate to locate any Soviet subs in the area, found the B-59. Unaware that it carried a nuclear weapon, the Americans began dropping small, non-lethal depth charges. Their intention was not to destroy the sub, but to force it to the surface for identification. But inside the dark, sweltering confines of the B-59, the crew didn't hear a signal. They heard an attack. The explosions rattled the submarine, lights flickered, and the crew was thrown into a state of panic. To the submarine's captain, Valentin Savitsky, there was only one possible explanation: war had broken out. Believing his country was under attack, he made the fateful decision. He ordered the nuclear torpedo to be prepared for launch. The launch protocol on the submarine was designed to prevent a single person from starting a nuclear war. 3 senior officers had to unanimously agree: the captain, the political officer, and the second in command. The captain gave the order. The political officer, Ivan Maslenikov, agreed. The world was now just one yes away from annihilation. All eyes turned to the third man, Vasily Arkhipov. Arkhipov was not just the second in command of the B-59, he was the flotilla commander for the entire submarine group, and his reputation for being level-headed was well known. As the captain and political officer argued for launching the torpedo, Arkhipov stood firm. He refused to give his consent. He argued that the explosions were not necessarily an attack, they could be a signal. He reasoned that if a war had truly started, they would have received clear orders. An intense argument erupted in the claustrophobic control room. The captain, under immense pressure, screamed at Arkhipov, but Arkhipov did not back down. He calmly but forcefully argued his case, eventually persuading the furious captain to reconsider. His single act of defiance broke the chain of command that was about to unleash Armageddon. After the heated debate, Captain Savitsky relented. The B-59 surfaced amidst the American warships, de-escalating the immediate crisis. It was only then that they learned that war had not broken out. The American depth charges had indeed been signals. The world never knew how close it came that day. For decades, the story of Vasily Arkhipov remained a secret. It wasn't until years later that the details emerged, revealing a man whose courage and clear thinking in the most stressful situation imaginable prevented a global catastrophe. In a moment when two other officers were ready to push the button, Vasily Arkhipov became the man who said no and saved the world.